Hi you guys. Today is the day that I have to have my skin cancer removed. So I wanted to take a video of my back beforehand. I'm gonna take a video of my back before the surgery. You can still see the owie from the biopsy. So right there, that's the one that's gonna be taken out today. It looks like a petal. It totally looks like a petal. That's too funny. So we will get it done today and it will be amazingly done. So I'll keep you posted. Bye. Okay, we are at dermatology. Here's mom. So we're just waiting. I don't think this one's supposed to take too long, and of course they're not gonna let me video it because they're no fun at all. So I'll keep you posted afterwards. Let's talk skin cancer surgery. Okay, so what I had, which is awesome, was basal cell carcinoma, which means yes, it's skin cancer, but it doesn't move to other organs, which is amazing. It stays where it is, but it has to get out, obviously. So I had it scheduled for today to have it removed. It's been a long couple weeks. Okay, so I go get checked in. This is the first time I've had to have, that's not gonna work. There we go. Surgical dermatology. So I checked in at the same spot and then walked over. And they called me back and got me back in the room, and you know, had to ask my name and birth date and all that good stuff. And then we started talking about all of my complications. EDS makes it hard to heal. My nutrition being non-existent makes it hard for me to heal. I've already had 3 surgical procedures in the last 2 weeks. I was just dealing with my lip biopsy being infected, and so I was dealing with that too. And so I got kind of checked in, and then one of the assistants to my doctor came in and we talked options, which I already knew about. So with the kind of cancer that I had, you can do like a scrape and burn removal, where they scrape off part of it and then they burn it, and then they scrape it the other way, and then they burn it, and then they scrape it again the first way, and then they burn it. And so it's a known scar because they drew on my back, and I'm gonna put pictures in here of what I took pictures of, all the drawings that they did, so we can figure out what we wanted to do. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired. So you have however big the cancer is, and then they have set margins that they have to take out to make sure, obviously, that they get it all. So good things about it is they already know what the scar is going to be, how big it's going to be, but it can't be sent to pathology to make sure that they get it all. But it's still, she said, a 97-98% success rate to get it all, which is great. Oh my gosh, it just doesn't want to focus on my face. There we go. But I have a really hard time healing from any scrape like that. The biopsy, when they did the biopsy before, which was just a scrape biopsy, that got infected. And I'll put a picture of that one here. And I want the lowest risk of infection because I just can't handle anything else right now. So if we do the full biopsy, like to cut it out, they end up having to make like a football shaped scar because they have to take out the whole thing and then it comes back together to make like a straight line. And my skin cancer was like this big, like it really wasn't that big, but my scar is gonna be pretty big. And so they took pictures. I took pictures in the mirror when they were doing it, and so this is what it looked like when they had the drawing on there, so I knew how big, like, the piece they were going to take out. And so we decided on that one after we looked at everything, all the options, to make sure that I was comfortable with it and the least amount of infection risk is what I needed. So everybody left, and then I had another nurse came in to get me all numbed up with lidocaine, which I've had before. And I've reacted weird to Novocaine before because it has a heart stimulant. So your heart starts racing and you start shaking and whatever, and the room is already cold. And so I sat in the little chair, and I sat kind of sideways to make it easier for her to like reach my back. And she was like, okay, you know, like she was warning me before she stuck me, which was great because I totally weird out when people touch my back. Like I don't like it because I can't see it, you know. And so she stuck me once and hurt, like it's really close to my spine, and so I knew it was gonna be like nerve heavy. And so she stuck me again and again and again. I think I lost count at 16. And I didn't feel all of them. Like I could feel them, but they weren't as bad as some of them were. I don't know what was different about some of them. Oh, he numbed me all up. And so then this is the picture of it all numbed up. Like you can see like the pouch of lidocaine like under my skin, like around where all the whole football thing was. So we waited for that to get numb, and she set up the surgical tray and all that stuff. And then she left, and then 3 more people came in, and it was my regular nurse, my doctor, and then another doctor who was, I think, learning. So my doctor was a badass, which was cool. And oh my gosh, she was so sweet. And so we started talking about like where we grew up and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, I was born in Chicago. And she was like, well, I was born in she's like, I grew up in upstate New York. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I've got a house in upstate New York. And she was like, oh, well, I grew up in Williamsville. And I was like, oh my God, I have a house in Cheektowaga. And it was really cool because we were talking about lake effect snow and stuff in Amherst, and it was super cool. And so, you know, she gets started, and they like, my nurse came in first, and she, you know, started cleaning my back and draping me, and and I'm still shaking from all the lidocaine, and so she called somebody else in and they got me blankets, and it was awesome. So I finally stopped shaking before she got started. And so she gets started and she's like, okay, you know, you're gonna feel like pulling and stuff, but you're not gonna feel like, you shouldn't feel any pain, which was exactly right. And so she starts, and it was very interesting. This is the first thing that I've ever been through like this. And so it was very interesting being awake for the whole thing. And so I can tell like what she's doing by like how I can feel her like arms like touching me, like where I still had feeling, obviously. And so she cut the whole thing out, and then and like she's dabbing with gauze and whatnot, and then I feel like blood like running down my back. And then she was like, okay, she's like, we're gonna have to cauterize part of this. And so she's like, just hang on with me. And I'm like, okay. And so she gets the cautery out and she starts sealing stuff, and all you hear is and I'm like, oh my god, that's so creepy, because that's totally me. And so she's cauterizing, and all of a sudden I was like, ow. And she was like, okay, where did you feel it? And I felt it like up in my shoulder. And so she was like, okay, she's like, I'm gonna move to a different section. She's like, let me know if you feel anything. And so she moved to another section. I didn't feel anything else but like the smell of yourself burning and the noise, and it was so creepy. So she got all done with that, and then she starts putting the sutures in, and I obviously have bad reaction to sutures. And so she used a different kind, which is more of like a hypoallergenic suture, and she did everything sub-Q for me, so I don't have any exterior sutures that I have to deal with. I don't have to be removed. Like, they should really, really actually dissolve this time, which is awesome. And so they got all done, and she explained to me about, especially people with, well, it was two factors. With back procedures like this, because you're always like pulling on it, like just the nature of your back muscles, she said that they suture it back together in such a way that it actually, like right now it looks poochy, like there's skin like poochy like along the scar, but she said once the sutures start letting go and like you're still pulling against the incision, she says the poochiness will actually lay flat, as opposed to if you made it flat, she's like, then it like opens up, and she's like, sometimes it makes these like fish mouth scars, which sounded really horrible. And so the nurse took me a picture when it was all done so I could see what it looked like, so I had some kind of an idea. And then she made a pressure bandage for me. Hold on a second here. Let me go this way. Ugh. Okay. So I have pressure bandage on now. And the scar is about that big, like long ways, like up and down. And my my ink, like you can see how it comes down and across, and they were so aware of it, and so they made the incision like up towards like this corner and then down. And so when they did it, they didn't touch any of my ink, which was like so very thoughtful of them, because I was like, please, please don't touch it if you don't have to. And they didn't have to, which was super nice. And so I have to leave the bandage on for 48 hours. And I can't do any heavy lifting or any of that stuff for 2 weeks because the scar's on my back. I'm still numb right now, which is amazing, because I've had several like twinges of what it's gonna feel like when it comes alive. It's not gonna be a good time. So I can do Tylenol as often as I can have it, which I have to like balance with my other meds, and then ice packs. And so I do ice packs like 10 minutes on. I don't know how long off. I haven't read all my paperwork yet. Oh, I'm super glad it's over. It's been a really long 2 weeks. And so we'll see how it goes. And I told them about my problems with getting infections and whatnot, so they're fully aware. So I just have to let them know if there's a problem, and they'll send me in antibiotic ointment and whatever. So otherwise, like after the 48 hours, we take the bandaging off, and then I put just regular Vaseline or petroleum, white petroleum packs that they gave me on twice a day. I don't know how long, and I don't see my dermatologist again until like a month from now, like the 12th, I think. So cross my fingers everything heals well and I don't have to deal with another infection, because that would be super, super amazing. So I'm super glad it's done. I will let you know how it comes back to life, and then I'll be dead, hopefully. Goodbye. Hi guys. Okay, so skin cancer removal update. Okay, so I had the procedure Wednesday. Wednesday was pretty okay. Super numb. It was tight. I guess that's the best way that I can say it. Like, it felt like it was pulling like everything backwards. So it felt really awkward to like stand like I normally do. Thankfully it's relaxed now. So, so Wednesday was okay. Wednesday night was not okay. Thursday was not okay. It was almost like the pain was so bad and it was so deep. Like, you know, I had the whole like football shaped piece cut out. Like my whole entire skin was cut out and then everything was pulled back together and stitched up. So with the cauterizing and all that, it hurt deep. Like, it's still kind of numb on the surface, which I'm thankful for. But it was like, and it's real close to my spine. And I was really worried about that because when I had the biopsy done, I could feel like zapping, like electrical pulses between the scar and my, on my spine. But it got infected, and so I don't know if that had anything to do with it either, but I've had none of that with this surgery, which is great. The pain, it was so much on my left side since that's where it is on my back. So anytime I used my left arm on Thursday or Friday, it was unreal painful. Like, I couldn't pick anything up with this arm. It was really hard to get in clothing or jackets or anything like that. I couldn't eat with that hand. I couldn't do anything with that arm for a couple days. Ice was my savior. So I iced it about 30 minutes. I tried to do it about every hour and a half or so. It was just, and if I iced it for a few minutes, it was horribly painful. If I iced it long enough, like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it was good. And it really, really helped with the pain, and it kind of kept it at bay, which was great. Okay, so hold on. Okay, hold on. Let's see if we can zoom in. Is it better on this side? There we go. Okay, hold on. Okay, so there she is. So there's still swelling at the top and there's still swelling at the bottom. You can see sutures at the top and the bottom as well. I'm so sorry, I'm shaky. She did a really great job. She said it's gonna be all poochy, so when it really starts healing and all the internal sutures let go, that your back muscles like pull on it all the time. And so that way it'll flatten out when it actually, when it really, really starts to heal, which is awesome. I can shower now. I took a shower last night and it was hands down the best shower of my entire life. Like, it felt so amazing. The pain is better. Yesterday was Friday. It was a football game for my boy. And I still carried ice packs with me. So I ice packed on the way there, and then I ice packed once at the game. It also rained on us 3 times. It was a rough game. But they won, so yay, go team. Last night was again better. I didn't have to ice today, partly because my temperature's been completely whacked out and I'm either like night sweaty or I'm freezing. Like I can't seem to find really much of a happy medium at the moment. That's what happens when you don't have enough nutrition in your body. It's been better. Getting the wrapping and all that stuff off, the wrapping and everything came off on Friday. Mom pulled it off for me. The actual removal of the pressure pack and all of that, it was bad just because all of the tape, you know, and it's pulling and stretching all the wounds. I was super glad when it was off. It felt way better when it was off, but I almost got sick, which is less ideal, but my whole system's so off right now. So everything was great. Oh, and the pathology results have already come back and they got it all removed. So I don't have to do anything else other than my regular follow-ups with my dermatologist. And, you know, obviously I'm at a higher risk now to have repeat problems, but at least I know what the process is and can manage it and blah, blah, blah. So, oh my gosh, super thankful all of that is done. So that would be 4 surgical procedures in 2 weeks. That's a heck of a lot, just to let y'all know. So that's all I got. Next big adventure starts Tuesday, and I haven't wrapped my head around that one yet, so I'll talk about it in a couple days, but I love you guys. Hi guys. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an update on the skin cancer removal. So I had it done I don't remember what day of the week, but we had to wait 2 days and then we could take the pressure pack off. So again, okay, so here is the pressure pack. So my mom had to pull it off for me. I almost passed out and threw up when she was taking it off. I don't know what made it so, I just upset my system really bad when she was taking it off. And she was being so gentle, and I don't know what it is. My whole system's having such a hard time right now. So she took it off. And this is what it looks like right when she took it off. It's got, like, it's a little bit gross, but it's not like really bad at all. And then we cleaned it up a little bit and then, you know, started putting the Vaseline on that we needed to put on. And I was really thinking that we took it off. Like, I had the procedure done on a Wednesday. We took off the bandage on a Friday. And then Saturday was okay and Sunday was okay. Morning was okay. And then it was just like, I could tell something was wrong. Like, I could just tell that things were getting weird again. And so I'm putting on the Vaseline. And I would just get, you know, like a little bit of Vaseline like on my finger, and then I can reach everything that I needed to, like just reaching over my shoulder. And so the top of the scar is like real poochy and like it looks inflamed, not like bad, but just kind of like swollen still. I mean, not shocking at all, considering what had just been done to it. And so that part always felt okay. And then the very bottom of the scar, ever since I was putting on the Vaseline, I could feel 2 sutures. Not like huge ass, like, you know, sticking out an inch sutures, but like I could feel like the very, very pokey end, because she tried to do sub-Q sutures all the way down. But, you know, my skin is weird. It just doesn't go together like normal skin. And so anyway, so I could feel 2 pokies. And this was starting Friday when we took off the bandage. So Saturday I could still feel pokies. Both times I put on the Vaseline, I could still feel pokies on Sunday. And by Sunday evening-ish, I guess, I was irritated. I honestly don't know if any of those dates are right. Whatever day we had it done, it waited a while, we had to take the pack off, And then for a few days, it felt okay. And then all of a sudden, it started not feeling okay. And it may have been actually a week post surgery when it started feeling strange. So I had my mom, because like I can see that it looks a little bit red, but is it like red like a problem or just like healing red? So I had my mom like look at it and she was like, oh, it does look a little funny on the bottom. And I was like, well, that's where it feels funny. And I was even having trouble like with my left arm again. I had a lot of trouble at the very beginning, like the first 2 days or so after the surgery. And it wasn't like I was having a hard time using my arm, but anytime I used my arm, it really hurt my back. So I would just kind of keep it close so I wasn't pulling and stretching and whatever on with that arm. So I had her take a picture so I could really see it. And so I'll put that one here. And you can absolutely tell that I was starting to react exactly where the sutures were on the bottom. And I was so frustrated because like any foreign object like that right now, my body is just like massively rejecting it. Like I had the end of a staple touch me wrong on a knuckle a couple weeks ago. That got infected. I touched my nose wrong a few days ago, and so that got infected. Like it's super frustrating. So anyway, so I messaged my surgical dermatology people. I actually messaged them like last Sunday, and then they messaged me back Monday and said, yes, it absolutely looks like you're reacting to the sutures. And they were like, just come in and we'll take a look and cut them out, you know, whatever we need to do. And I was at interventional radiology that morning when I got the messages, and for the GJ consultation. And so I messaged them back, surgical dermatology, and I said, you know, I'm literally 2 buildings away, you know, can I just come over after this appointment and have you guys look at it? And they were like, absolutely, you know, just come to the back surgical desk and we'll get you in. So I finished that consultation, and then I went over to surgical dermatology, got all checked in, and then my same nurse called me back. She's so sweet. And she remembered some of my other stuff that I had going on. And so she was asking me about it. It was really thoughtful. And she said that my surgeon was out of the office this week, so one of the other fellows was going to come in. And I had met 2 of the other fellows at the appointment. And the guy I actually didn't meet, like he was just in the room watching and whatnot. And then, but the female fellow that I had met, oh my God, she was so nice. And she was the one that had messaged me back. So she's the one that I'm expecting to like walk in the door. Instead, this like big ass dude walks in. I mean, this guy must have been 6'4", 6'5". He was so tall. And so he walks in, introduces himself, so pleasant. And he was like, okay, you know, well, let me know what I'm looking at. And the nurse had already taken a picture and left, and so I just assumed he'd already seen it. I don't know if he had. And so I took off my jacket, and so he looked and he was like, oh, that looks really good. And I was like, yeah, the top looks great. The bottom doesn't look so great. And he was like, oh, well, you know, people heal differently, and, you know, it just looks a little bit scabby, and we really don't like to go digging there, you know, and, you know, we really, especially for how the back heals, you know, we really need to leave the sutures in, you know, as long as possible, you know, and it's just, it's probably nothing. And I'm like, I have certain conditions that make this incredibly difficult for me to deal with, like with sutures and whatnot. And so I said, there is at least 1 suture still there. And I said, I can feel 2 pokies. And I said, a couple days ago I felt 3. And I said, a piece of that came off, and I saw it on my finger. So I know one of them came out. But I said, I still feel 2 pokies, exactly where it's sore. And I said, I'm getting worse instead of better. And I said, I'm still doing the Vaseline twice a day and like all the things that I'm supposed to. And so I'm like, there is a problem and I need you to find it. And he was like, well, let me clean it off really good and then we'll take a look. And so he cleans it off and he's being like rough on my back. And I'm like, dude, that hurts. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, I'm so used to dealing with scars when they're fresh off of surgery. And so like, you can't feel anything. I was like, well, I can feel that. So if you could be a little more gentle, that would be great. And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And so he got real gentle. It was fine. And then he cleaned everything off and he was like, yeah, I still don't really see anything. And he's like, you know, feeling on the owie part. And he was like, you know, I can't feel any pokies, you know, and we really don't want to go digging in there. So I'd say we really need to like leave it for another couple weeks. So I turned my ass around again, take another deep breath. And I was like, I very much understand where you're coming from. You know, the last thing that I want to do is inhibit me being able to heal from the surgery, because I said I'm about to have a feeding tube put in and the last thing that I need is my back hurting while I'm not able to lay really any other way while I heal from that procedure. And so I said, I need your help. And I said, I sent pictures. The person that answered me said, absolutely, there's a problem and we need to take the sutures out. And so I said, are you saying that that is not what is going to happen now, or you're just unwilling to? And then there was hemming and hawing and more trying to convince me. And I'm like, look, and I said, I know my body. I know how all of this goes. And so I said, I need your help. I need you to fix this problem for me because I literally cannot fix it myself. And he was like, completely understand. And he was like, let me get, you know, all this stuff and then, you know, let me take a closer look. So, you know, he gets all the hoobie on and the blah, blah, blah. And then he goes looking and I can feel him like doing stuff on my back, but like the actual like scar kind of portion is pretty numb. So I can't feel a lot. And so he's doing stuff and I'm like, whatever, doesn't make any difference to me. And then all of a sudden I feel him start cutting stuff. No, I didn't feel anything. And then like a couple seconds later and he was like, I apologize. You are absolutely right. You absolutely have sutures poking through. Yes, you are getting an infection from them because you're so irritated. And he was like, you just give me a few seconds. And he's like, I'll have them out for you. And so he pulled one out and then he pulled the second one out. And these are sutures that are supposed to dissolve, okay? They're always supposed to dissolve. And this sucker was like, I don't know, like an inch long that he pulled out. And he was like, yeah, it wasn't dissolving at all. And he's like, I bet you anything. And it was so funny because when he pulls it out, like he doesn't even tell me. And I'm like, oh, that feels so much better. It was like that part I could absolutely tell. And so he pulled it out. He apologized again. And he was like, you know, I'm so sorry that, you know, he's like, I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it, you know. And I said, I completely understand. And I was like, you know, I said, I have to advocate for myself so many times. It's just second nature. And so I know my body. I know when there's a problem and I'm going to fight for it. And he's like, well, I'm absolutely glad that you did. He apologized again, put a Band-Aid on my back because I was bleeding again, but it wasn't like bad. And that was it. It was another case in point that you have to be your biggest advocate or swear to goodness. Like, they absolutely would have just sent me on my way for another 2 weeks, and I guarantee you half of my scar would have been infected by that point. So it is much better now. I have not had to ice it anymore, not any of that stuff. So go team on being your biggest advocate. And I really think everything is going to settle down. Like, I'll do another video at some point and show you guys what it looks like. But other than that, we made it through that one. So now on to the next one. So give the video a like and subscribe below so you can see all the medical drama. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.